Shit. Sorry, guys. Oh my God. It was so good, too. I haven't done this in a while. You got to give me that. All right, here we go. Let me start up. So, I was wondering why all the emoticons. I thought you guys were just excited. So here we go. So I'm gonna be here's the secret here. So I'm gonna be making a weekly show. I'm gonna be doing it on Sundays. It'll be around noon probably, sometime after church hours, and we'll be going over the latest news and events for Bitcoin miners. We'll be comparing them visually against each other. If you look here, you can see on visual stocks, there's some graphs created. There's data anomalies that need to be fixed. There's visual stuff that needs to be cleaned up. The type of graphs that are used for each one of these metrics need to change. So we'll be doing stuff to try and make that better. I haven't talked to Alejandro about all this. I sent him a bunch of requests. So I'm assuming he's going to hook me up, and I think he will. But But we'll be trying to build out a bunch of stuff. I'm going to try and make it to where like there's a Bitcoin mining chart under visualstocks.com, maybe something I can share out with you guys that will have visual references that for things like Bitcoin held, revenue, net income, current hash rate, hash rate per BTC, all the metrics that a lot of these other guys do. So I'll try and focus on that and see if we can get really visual ways to be able to compare them so that each week we can just quickly go through it and see how things are comparing. Right now, too, the graphs actually do it quarter over quarter. I'd like to be able to slice and dice some of this data like revenue and net income quarter over quarter. Totally makes sense. Hash rate, Bitcoin held, these other metrics would do a lot better for a monthly time frame. So I'm trying to get that worked out as well. Yeah, the emoji bombing. Mark the White says the emoji bombing. Thank you, Mark LeBlanc. I appreciate you, sir. But yeah, so we're going to try and do that in this session too. So we'll be using the visuals to try and compare them. We'll be looking at charts, like technical stuff, going through each one of them to say how they're looking and how they're comparing it versus their valuation and what I think the best deals are. And then we'll do a Q&A session at the end. So we're going to try and make it to where you guys get as much value week over week as you could possibly get. And one of the things I'll start off with today is just kind of talking through. I want you guys to know what's out there too as far as resources in regard to Bitcoin mining. James from Invest Answers and Sebastian Ski both do a ton of work in this space. And for, I think it's $8 a month with Sebastian Ski, you get access to his Patreon that has this PDF of all these different metrics, data points, what kind of miners are being used, what future hash rates are going to look like, different ways of slicing and dicing all the details. I think Sebastian Ski does a really great job, and I think for $8 a month it's a steal personally. And then he also has his YouTube channel where he talks about each one of these things as well. So I love his work, and I wanted to reference that. So if you guys are interested, again, Sebastian Ski, you can find him on Patreon. Also, I love the work of James from Invest Answers. He does even more. He's not just specialized in Bitcoin miners. If you guys know him, he does everything, and he's amazing at he works all the time, way harder than I do, and he covers everything. If you're looking at Solana, shitcoins, he's the man. And then again, he covers Bitcoin mining as well, and he gives you things like this chart right here, or I should say this Excel spreadsheet that does comparisons and ranks different Bitcoin miners based upon a number of different values. And he gives his loaded scores ranking for things like, again, BTC held. I don't personally think he puts enough weight behind that. That's just me. No offense, James. You're my buddy. I love you. But dollar per rig is a good, interesting figure that I don't think a lot of people track. BTC held versus the market cap, I think that's actually a really decent metric too as far as valuation goes. Market cap, future exahash. So like what their market cap is versus what the exahash are expected to be in the future. I like that too. Production hash, exahash, EBITDA margin, liability versus market cap, production ROI, return on investment versus market cap, future growth, and then he gives it a ranking. And he's got his own mathematical formulas. I think this is incredibly valuable. And again, if you're just looking here, that's not the only thing he provides. He provides so much. And I don't want to give away the secret sauce here, but I do want you guys to see what resources you could have available to you, right? And James, again, charges like $10 a month for his basic version, but just like he shows you his portfolio in here on Patreon. He's got tons of content in regard to tips. He talks about real estate, security, just a lot of different things, and including, again, a bunch of different modeling with spreadsheets. I think it's really valuable. I think both these guys are wonderful in their own right. And provide a ton of value. And so I want you guys to know about it so that you have the opportunity to subscribe. I think for $18 a month, man, this sure beats a Netflix subscription between having both of these. So I just wanted to throw it out there. Also, the stuff I'm doing, I'm not going to put behind a paywall. At least I don't see it happening anytime soon. And if I did anything, it would probably be like a members-only video where you got to pay $2 a month to have access to this video each week, which a lot of you already do. So I've already got over 1,200 people that subscribe for at least $2 to $25 or whatever it is for the whale thing. I appreciate all you guys for that. And again, a lot of the people that are here and watch these videos are already contributing. So you guys would definitely have direct access to it. But I don't plan on doing that anytime soon. So again, the goals, and we'll start talking through. I want to talk through this without giving away all the details on Sebastian's work. I want to talk through his analysis on here and kind of my thoughts behind it for each one of these companies, what I think of them. And then again, we'll build that up each week as our knowledge becomes better and better and better on each one of these companies. So, and again, if you guys have anything to bring to the table too, bring it each session. If I'm missing stuff, if we're talking about Bitdeer and I miss something, let me know. Or if we're talking about Cleanspark, let me know. And that way we can just all learn from each other. Because again, if we've got hundreds or maybe thousands of people that end up watching this down the road, even if it's just 100 or 200, right now we got 120, 26 people in here. Even if it's just that, that's enough minds to be able to, you know, if people are putting a little bit of effort to provide a lot of value with each other. So that's kind of the goal. So without further ado, and again, so right now I was just going to talk to Visual Stocks. So you can, in visualstocks.com, that's visual with a Z, visualstocks.com. It's my friend Alejandro on X created this. And it's a great tool. I love it. There are some data anomalies that we need to fix. And there's some stuff, like I said, I want to figure out if we could do monthly charting for some of the metrics that really should be monthly charted. And I'm trying to figure out where we're sourcing information, see how much of that we can get as quickly as possible, and without me doing any of the work. It's all Alejandro. I won't lie. Like, I'll be doing very little. I'll just be telling him what I want and seeing if he'll give it to me. But the goal is to get it to where this just looks beautiful and it's great. And then again, this is accessible to you guys too in some way if you have it on his platform, if you have a membership on there. And he's got even a free version. I don't know what he would do with charging for any of this stuff, but again, I can at least show you what I've built with him. And I think we can all grow together. I think Alejandro would very much feel that same way without speaking for him. So again, I love you guys, and I'm hoping you get a lot of value from it going ahead. Again, some of this is wrong. Like if we look here, just at a glance, I believe, let's see, this is Bitcoin held. Cleanspark should be higher. It's way down here. It should actually be higher than this right now. So but again, we're also parsing quarterly information, and I think that something like this needs to be monthly. So that could be part of the anomaly as well. So we'll get that stuff fixed. But to start off with, let's get going here. And if you guys have any comments, throw it out there. Any input on what you've just heard, throw it out there. Let me see. Carmen glitching. Mara, I'm not going to lie, is one of the worst relationships I've ever been in. Hey, dude, if you've seen how much Cleanspark has dropped, we should probably look at the charts too. Cleanspark has been brutalized more than Mara. But I'm sure Mara has raked you over the coals pretty good. I do think there's a lot of good things about Mara, and we'll talk to some of that in a second. I think their Bitcoin held is awesome. And just even a quick glance here, if you look at Mara, one of the things I like about them, let's just go over here. If you look at net income, you can actually see, and this isn't completely right, and it only stops at Q1. So again, stuff to fix. But, and that's not even right. It's got Bitcoin production. I want net income. Yeah, I'll have to fix that. That one's wrong. Here, we can do that real quick, I think. Let me just go over here. Yeah, there we go. Better. There's a ton of metrics in here too, guys. Like, there is so much data. It's just a matter of cleanup and sourcing it better, getting it as real time as possible, maybe getting note updates with specific companies when there is an update to a data point. Like, stuff like that would be amazing. I would love it. But again, I don't know how possible it is. I've got to figure out what we can work with. But and right now we have to put this in under a particular miner. I was thinking that maybe a miner could be called miner comparison or whatever, something like that. Something where you can tell the difference. I didn't rerun this, did I? This is going to look a little ugly, but I just want to rerun it and take a look at it. Yeah, there we go. That's better. So let me just save this over here. And this might create a few dupes. Again, there's stuff to fix, but I don't care so much about that. I just want to show you guys this metric. So one of the things I wanted to show here, if you look in Q1 of 2024 with Mara, and again, not all the data is right, but the Mara looks pretty good. You'll see that Mara had a net income of 337,000 million. I got to get the exact figure. In that quarter, it was really positive, 337 million, I believe it is. But then you can see the next one, you had some huge losses that occurred on Mara as well, 200 million. Like, it was a big number in a drop. Let me see. Yeah. So one of the things I think that's going to be beneficial with Mara is just the fact that they have such a large stack of Bitcoin held. When you compare them to all the other miners, it is a crazy difference, guys. If we scroll back down here, and again, there's going to be some weird dupes. Ignore all this stuff. It's a work in progress. But if you look at Bitcoin held, That number should be really close. It's actually closer to 20 now. So again, this is Q1 of 2024, but they bought a bunch too. But the thing is, like, Mara is so much higher than everybody else that's in second place. They're roughly double the second place holders, which are like second and third are Riot and HUT. And then after that is Cleanspark, but Cleanspark's growing so quickly. I think by Q1 of 2024, they'll actually be in second place for Bitcoin held and potentially have at least the second, if not first, hash rate out of any publicly traded Bitcoin miner. So I think it's going to get really crazy here for Cleanspark too in the near future. But again, I'm going to try and make this as visual as possible. We'll have everything segmented out for news events by each particular miner that we're tracking. It will be all these. It will be Bitdeer, BitDigital. Some might drop off if there's no interest, and I just think they're horrible. I don't love cores, but I'll talk to it in the beginning. And there's a few others like this too that are kind of dying. I think BitDigital is one of those. They've got their high-end computing processing stuff. I think even Sebastian Ski is starting to agree with me that, well, maybe not me, but he's starting to agree that some of that might be overhyped and there might be too much of this compute power and maybe not enough real net or revenue coming in from this stuff to really be substantive. So I think that we're going to see stuff over time where I think it's clear on which miners are the best value. And then again, if we do a good job with this show, maybe we could start having other people on too, like Sebastian Ski, like James from Invest, and a slew of others. I'd like to have Bitcoin mining guy. He's pretty cool. I don't like spaces at all, really, just the design of it. I want to be able to share content visually and have stuff like this. I don't love the concept of just like the spaces are okay. If it's just a little cleaner and you could do live video streams, I think it would be a lot better. I should say I would like that. And then just being able to share this a little bit better. They've got functionality there, but I don't love it. So I know he does a lot of that, but I probably want to do something like this. And maybe we can get him on. Maybe we could get Mike Alfred. Again, if we get good enough, we should be a serious contender, especially if we do a really good job at being right. And that's my goal. So I don't know. What do you guys think about it, man? Do you think this is going to be fun or what? Mark LeBlanc, BTC, the gift that gives and takes. It gives it to you, and then it takes it from you. Satoshi was likely a woman. Nope, it was Hal Finney. Carmine Glitch, smile, laugh, thumbs up. Okay. BD, sourcing the monthly may be a bit manually intensive. It might be, but I mean, I don't have to be a programmer. I just make requests from them. That's been most of my life. And you should be able to scrape sites, be able to see reports, scrape sites, keyword searches, pull in number values, as long as they're consistent. And if they're not, then I'd be happy to punch in data manually too, for Alejandro if he can't parse it automatically. So we'll figure it out. David, yes, some CEOs doing spaces with ex-analysts promoting their business. Yeah, there's probably a lot of that. The Machine, what have I missed? Happy Sunday to everyone. That is a good call. If you guys could hit the like button too, it's greatly appreciated. Damien G, hit the like. Oh, yeah, great. Okay, perfect timing, Damien. David, Zach is the only one quietly. Zach is the only one quietly. Are you talking about which Zach? Cleanspark Zach? Talking about Cleanspark? And what do you mean by that? Which comment is that in reference to, David? All right, so anyway, let's get over here. I want to start walking down the line. I want to look at Bitdeer, and again, I might kind of bounce back and forth. I'm probably going to pull, for now, I'm going to pull these up on visual stocks. I almost wish I could split screen this, but maybe I can in the future. I can probably do that in a layout view or something specifically for Bitcoin mining, or maybe I could have visual stocks up at the same time, or at least part of it kind of magnified in, and then also at the same time have like a PDF or another source open just for quick side-by-side comparisons. I don't know. I'm just talking shit out my ass. Let's see here. First one, Bitdeer. There we go. Let's pull you up. And again, I still got to vet all the data in here. I want to make sure all the Bitcoin mining stuff is good. I'm good on revenue, net income. I feel pretty good about all that. Cash, debt levels. Again, there's a reason why I love Alejandro's work on here with visual stocks. It just does a great job of showing you a lot of different metrics, and I think that's wonderful. It's just a matter of getting some of the stuff in monthly that I think would be beneficial if we could do it. And when I say we, I mean him. And then again, just adding some other charts and under each of these Bitcoin miners that might be helpful, some similar, metrics that to people like James with Invest Answers, and again, Sebastian Ski. But if we just take a glance here, you can see Bitcoin production is starting to go down, and that's because of the halving, right? Like, we know what that is. We went from 1,300, we dropped down to 628. You normally want to see expansion with these companies, though. And Bitdeer, if we look, current hash rate is 7,500 or 7.5 exahash, I think this number is. Future is 11. So you can see some growth here. I wish it was more. I think the big thing that you need to do in the future is have the largest hash rate you possibly can so you can dwarf the rest, and then be able to sell your Bitcoin stack. Hopefully you have a large stack up near the top of the cycle, at least above 150K. Because if you do that, you're up almost 200% or 3x from where we're at right now, and you'll be able to buy so much mining equipment and have so much money to be able to run your facilities, even in a bear market. And that's why the Bitcoin held is such an important figure to me that I don't think other people spend enough mental resources on, and they don't hold enough weight to even, and I could be wrong, maybe James does. I don't know again, I don't know all the metrics and how he weights that average for the BTC held. But I personally believe that should be a very large number as far as like the percentage of weighting. Let's see here. Jesse, you should interview Zach, CEO of Cleanspark. That'd be kind of fun, man. I do like him. I think I need to get a couple of weeks of this, at the very least, build this out really good, get a good footing on all these miners, and then maybe come up with a list of questions that we might have for Zach, so that we can have an intelligent conversation. But I do like him. I think he's brilliant, and I think Cleanspark is a wonderful company. In many ways, it's the best run miner, I believe, that's out there by far. But so back to Bitdeer here. So one of the things I don't love is the declining in revenue, and again, the lack of growth. So going from 19 million in revenue down to 9, again, you're going to get cut in half, right? But ideally, though, with your growth, you're able to offset that. Also, Bitdeer is a no-go for me, and we'll keep talking about these for a while, and we can still bring it up with news events, and if there's interest from the group, we can keep looking at companies like this more, because again, there's others like this too, right, that don't HODL. And if you guys have interest in them, I will keep them up and we'll talk about them. But I think this is a no-go for me. When you're selling your Bitcoin every time, when you're selling it at 54K, when in 6 to 9 months you could sell it for 150K, I think you're being a fucking idiot. That's just me. That's my interpretation. This is my view of how these things are weighed. And again, I won't be going over Sebastian Ski's metrics every week. I'm going to try and get off of these, and then again get more into visual stocks and talking through that, because this is his work. I pay $8 a month for it, and I don't know that he wants me sharing it out to the world each time. I just want to show you what you're missing, because it's great. And these guys do put forth all this effort, tons of effort and this, I'll show you a bunch of other things that he does in here too, just so you can glance at it. But they do all this work, and to me, it makes a lot of sense to help assist them so that they can help assist all of us in this community, right? Again, $18 a month between James with Invest Answers. Hell, for 20, if I do end up charging $2 a month or whatever, you got to be a member to be able to see my videos for this stuff. For $20, you could get James, Sebastian, and me, and I think it could be provide life-changing wealth over the next year. So I think there's a lot of value in it. But yeah, so I don't love this. I don't love having to sell your Bitcoin at 54,000. Right? I think that's shit. I think that's a horrible, horrible business strategy. I would rather see share dilution. And so if we look over here, this is where I think Visual Stocks really outperforms too. They do a great job of showing shares outstanding. I would rather have, and here's the worst part about Bitdeer and some of these other companies. Not only do they not keep their Bitcoin and sell it at 54,000, but then they dilute the shares too. So you get fucked on all ends. You don't have an asset being stored as a reserve asset. Like, we want the government to do this, right? Think about this. Think about how stupid this is. We have people that are like, the government, so they could fix off all the issues with our debt. They should totally have a Bitcoin reserve. But miners shouldn't? What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? Why wouldn't you want them to do the same thing, to hold an asset, especially at the lows of a bear market cycle, gather as much of that shit as you can, And then even if you got to buy it, like if you got leftover cash and it makes more sense to buy it, buy Bitcoin straight out, like Mara's done a few times. That's where they excel. They buy it at lows and then they sell it at highs. I mean, I think it's not a horrible business model. It's not really Bitcoin mining, is so per se, but I don't think it's a bad idea. And so why wouldn't you want to hodl that shit? Yeah, be a sailor, exactly. So I don't. Again, I don't want to shit on people's Bitcoin companies. I know some people get really strung out on their investments and like, oh my God, you didn't just make fun of my Bitdeers. But again, I don't like this company because they don't hodl Bitcoin. I don't see a strong growth strategy, and I see a slow death, right? And then these HPC companies or these high performance computing companies, I don't love them a lot either because that's not a proven business model with revenues that are definitely going to come in, and there's a bunch of people saturating the market. It reminds me of when I bought Bitcoin miners physically in 2017 instead of buying Bitcoin. I could have bought $100,000 worth of Bitcoin at 3,000 or 3,200. Instead, I bought $100,000 worth of Bitcoin mining equipment, and I made a fraction of what I would have made if I just bought the fucking Bitcoin. And I learned a lesson. I learned that if you don't have economies of scale, if you're not an international Bitcoin mining business, if you don't have large capital that you could pull from public markets, you're going to have a harder time with this kind of stuff. And that it wasn't cut out for the little guy, but it will be cut out for governments and it will be cut out for corporations around the world, I believe. But it won't be like mom and pop miners that are going to be running this shit. It's just not going to be that. Anyway, I'm spewing out a bunch of stuff. I was a Bitcoin miner though, guys. I want you to know this. Like, it might have been a small scale, but I spent over $100,000 on a warehouse and the electricity costs, and I had to expense stuff, and I had a business name. I had all these things, right? I had this stuff in my house originally, but in the middle of the winter when it was negative 20 degrees out, it was like 100 degrees in my basement. So I realized with the window open, and an air conditioner running, I realized this probably wasn't feasible and I had to move to a warehouse, and I did that. But I learned a ton about the business on just like the depreciation of assets, the tax write-offs, how difficult it is to scale, when to scale, just a lot of things that I think a lot of people don't think about when they're invested in Bitcoin miners. And I know there's some people that don't believe you should be invested in Bitcoin miners. They're like, hey, you should just buy MicroStrategy. Which is okay. That's okay. If you want two and a half X probably to 3X a multiplier, for versus the underlying asset of Bitcoin, I think that's a great route to go down. But if you want 3 to 4X, sometimes potentially 5 to 6X, that's what we saw in some of these Bitcoin mining companies, from trough of the last cycle to the peak of where we were, early this year. That's a lot of money. So again, it's like MicroStrategy is a 2.5 to 3X multiplier, and Bitcoin miners can be almost 2X that. So 1.7 to 2X. So I mean, they've got their place. I want to make sure people understand that. Let me read though and get through here more. I'm talking, just fucking gabbing like shit. David Chapinda, Cleanspark. Mark Bentley, just wondering, have you lost enthusiasm for Cipher? We should talk about that. I still, so here's the thing. This is going to sound stupid, but it doesn't really fucking matter. All the miners go up. Now, I do believe this cycle, I do believe each cycle, Wall Street will get smarter, and investors will get smarter, and it will matter more each cycle as far as the multiple of return. But I do think that Cipher could still do really well, and we'll look at that one in a second too. I wouldn't say it's my favorite though. The thing I like about it is it's small. It's a very small market cap, and that is beneficial because it can give you really good value. It can give you a little extra multiplier because it's tinier. It's just like if you invest in a mega cap, you can normally only expect so much in a return. But if you get into a startup and that company does really well, the multiples are just retarded, right? So it's the way I look at it as Mara. If it's giving you 2X, or let's say Mara gives you, the stock itself gives you 5X, 6X. Let's just say that. I think Cipher, if managed decently, could give you up to 2X that. So again, it's a leverage play. It's just and I don't have a ton in it. We can go over my portfolio allocation with miners too. I'll probably try and split that up into a separate chart that I can show you guys just in what my portfolio allocation is too. But yeah, so maybe not as optimistic and excited about Cipher as I used to be, but it's still serving its purpose, if that makes sense, Mark. Maytag, hey Jesse, you're rocking it on all these streams. Picked up more BTC in this dip. Planning for more Tesla this week too. I should actually probably look at Bitcoin in a second too, just so we could talk about that since we're near 55,000 right now and we're looking a little bouncy. It's kind of where I think we should bounce. We could go lower, but this is a good spot. So we should probably talk about that too. Mr. Casper, I might consider taking profits on BTC when Cleanspark starts selling. You should do it before that. I mean, if it based on, well, it depends. Yeah. We should, if we do this weekly, we should talk about it, right? We'll talk about it when it gets closer to that. I think we are, before I start really selling Cleanspark, I think we're probably at least 4 to 7 months off before I start dumping, Cleanspark in a decent way. And that's just because I'm going to have a lot of calls. So maybe I start in 4 months or something, or if we just get a crazy uptick. But I'll just convert that to stock and again, dial out of my multipliers on the way up. Let me refresh my screen. It gets a little dark sometimes and I want to get it brighter. And thank you again for everybody who's here. If you can hit the like, it's appreciated, man. Andy's out. There's out. I think it depends on if the company can deploy the capital of growth immediately. Iron CEO. Iron doesn't HODL BTC because it deploys all available capital. See, I don't hate that. Here's the thing. I don't hate that, but I would actually preferably rather have that be stock dilution until you get near the peak and then sell that shit. Dilute shareholders while you're ramping. And then when you think the cycle's close to a peak, start selling aggressively out of your Bitcoin before other miners and lock in those profits. Because again, if you're getting 200% gains on your Bitcoin, let's just look here real quickly at Mara. This is an old figure because I don't think that we have recent data in here. And again, I'll work with Alejandro if he'll let me on all of this. But if we just go over tomorrow and we look at this in dollar values for their Bitcoin holdings, it's a lot more than this now. Right here on Q2, it says 18,488. Now the price had dropped, but that's still $1.6 billion. Now, if we take this and we add that multiplier and say that they start selling, like they're gonna get more obviously, but if they start selling around 150, 160,000, that's roughly 200% higher than today. Then this company stands to make $2.5 billion with a B dollars. Which is like half their fucking market cap right now in profits that they can lock in that they could then use to be able to ride out the storm in the next Bitcoin cycle without having to dilute shareholders in order to survive. That's what a lot of these shitty miners did. And so when they collapse, they really collapse and people lose a lot of value. Don't you think you'd want to be, if you owned any of this stuff, you'd want to be in the one that would be able to ride out that storm better without diluting a bunch of shareholders and pissing them off? And then at the same time could take capital and really apply it at the bottom and maybe dilute shareholders then in order to be able to buy a bunch of Bitcoin and mining facilities, additional hash, all that kind of stuff. That's the way I look at it, man. I personally feel that way. But if you guys have like alternative thoughts as to why that might be the wrong thesis and why you believe that what they're talking about is better, throw it out there. I'd love to hear it. Carmine Glitch, and again, I'll be doing all the miners. I'll try and do all the miners quarterly conference calls too. If I'm going to be part of this, or at least the ones that really, really matter that I'm invested in and that you guys are invested in. And I should probably, next time we'll do a poll on what you guys own. That will help me too with the content. Maybe we can streamline this and reduce the amount of content that we talk about. I'll still track stuff behind the scenes, but we don't deal with all the bullshit of going through a bunch of stuff that nobody gives a fuck about and nobody owns and that are really kind of just trashy companies anyway. So we'll figure it all out. But I'm excited about it. Carmine Glitch, Jesse, what are your thoughts on BTBT, BitDigital? Yeah, we can go into that too. So I kind of gave you a rough idea of my thoughts on Bitdeer. Now I do want to show though Sebastian's work. He's got so much in here, guys, and I love him for it. He gives his own like rating of undervalued, fairly valued, overvalued, all that kind of stuff. I'm not 100% on board with all the metrics, but I do think he works really hard, and I think they're super helpful. One of the other things I love is he shows miners that are deployed and what kind of exahash rates they give, how many there are, when the deployment dates are going to be. He gives so much great information in here, guys, which again is why I think people should subscribe to him because I love his work. But let's just jump down here. Bit Digital, and we'll see. Maybe he'll let me kind of look. I got to have a conversation with him. I've never actually talked to him outside of X, but maybe he'll let me like look at some of this and on a weekly basis too for comparisons and other stuff if I'm helping support him really well, which I should be doing right now. Bit Digital is interesting. So Bit Digital does still have Bitcoin holdings, but I've heard, and I've got to do more research on this, I believe that they might be drifting away from Bitcoin mining, or at least not devoting a lot of resource to it right now. I don't love that. But if you look up here, if you look at BTC Mined, I mean, look, they had 169 in December of 2023. They're at 53 now, dude. That's shit, in my opinion. And their current hash rate is 2.4 exahash, and they're going for 2.8. That is also shit. That is not enough of a growth strategy, in my opinion. And again, you've seen where they had to sell out of some of their Bitcoin mining. I don't know if they did this just to be an HPC player or what they were doing, but I don't love that part either. And then if I go over here to visual stocks and just pull them up, what are they, BTBT? And click on here, you can see that they're doing share dilution too. So you're kind of getting, they got a lot of cash. Well, I shouldn't say a lot. I mean, for this tiny little miner, they got 61 million. They only have 3 million in debt. But I don't love the sheer amount of dilution that's occurring when combined with the fact that their hash rate is just plummeting and their Bitcoin production just looks fucking weird. And I don't know, I've got to look at all of this from a data integrity standpoint, make sure that all of it's accurate and none of it needs to be cleaned up, because some of these Bitcoin miners are a little strange as far as some of their metrics. But I do worry about a company like this and its ability to be able to do well in the future. I don't know. It's my favorite ETH proxy. See, I don't love ETH right now, Carmine. I really don't. Now, don't get me wrong. I actually think ETH could outperform Bitcoin in the months ahead. I think BTC dominance could flip. It's very high right now. And I think if the markets, the broader market indices, if they become risk on and we start seeing small caps doing better and people start to get over some fears with the first rate cut coming, maybe they think Donald Trump is going to be the president and he's going to be very market friendly, and we're going to be looking at expansion and we're going to be looking at tax cuts and it's going to benefit a bunch of people and we're going to have a Bitcoin reserve and all the positive things that can help an economy grow happen, then we could see all of this just doing a lot better in the future. And markets really taking off, and it could be very positive. But for Bit Digital right now, man, I don't love it. But yeah, ETH could maybe take off in that scenario and do really well. And then maybe this kind of company does better. But I don't love it. I don't think it's a solid play. I would personally rather just have them be a Bitcoin miner. And I would rather have my company right now not try this high performance compute stuff. I would rather have them see what the rest of the market is doing and see if any of them can make any real fucking money. And then figure that out. And then they can diversify that, because that might be a thing. HPC could be a thing where it becomes valuable in the future, enough so for this compute. But I mean, maybe NVIDIA just has those contracts? Maybe Tesla has those contracts, or I should say XAI, with all their the 100,000 H100s or something, and looking to buy, I think it was another 50,000 H200s, like just some crazy numbers. Maybe these guys, maybe the Tesla vehicles too are compute. I don't know. I don't know how money can be made with this kind of stuff. So I don't love it right now, but I would rather have my miners figure out if there's money to be made here by watching other people fail or succeed. That's my take. And if you're a Mara where you got $2.5 billion in cash, if you end up selling at the top or selling a huge amount of your stack to be able to deploy more capital later on, I think that's a better approach personally, and that's why I like Cleanspark taking a similar approach themselves. All right, I'm just ranting. Andy, Damien G's, it's always a trade-off, right? Whatever you're holding, you can't also deploy. It's an opportunity cost. That's very true. Very true, Andy. Smart way to look at it. Maytag, I've never sold any BTC. I just hodl and stack sats through the bear. If you, to be excellent at time, I'm really good at timing. So I'm really good at timing. So I don't, I mean, I do that with a hard stack, like in a hardware wallet, but I can't say I'm perfect at it. I sold most of I sold like all my miners, I think last cycle around the 40s, like 48,000 range. I just got the fuck out of all my multipliers. So MicroStrategy, the miners, all that shit I was out of. And then, and then I sold, whatever else was really left. I started to sell probably in the low 40s. I did have some that I just held through, and again, all the physical stuff I held, physical Bitcoin, I held throughout, and then I bought more at the bottom, and then again, I invested a lot more at the bottom of this last cycle, and I was really good at calling the bottom in the 15,000-ish range. I went in hard. Now I buy the whole way down, but I increase the amount I buy when I have a higher conviction that we're near the bottom. So I think timing can be really beneficial, but you have to be like smart about it, and it has to be like a rebalancing thing. It can't be like oh, hey, Bitcoin went up 10%, so I sold my whole fucking portfolio because I know it's going to go down again in a bull market. You don't do shit like that. I trying to time the market with large amounts it fucked me over in the first cycle. Along with other things. And then in the second cycle, I got a little bit better. And now in the third cycle here, I've been outperforming greatly because I applied so many multipliers at the beginning and then started dialing out of them. And then as we dropped really hard with this mid-cycle drop, which I think is pretty normal, I was able to benefit a lot with it. So I think you can ride the cycle, and I'm going to try and show you guys how to do it. Whether you do it or not is totally up to you. Dr. Chris, cruise ship versus speedboat. I'm not sure what that was about, but just accumulating over time. And maybe like a shipping container, like a really big fucking one. Andy Zhao, Jesse, I think you should swap your Cipher for bitFarms. You guys will have to talk me into that. You guys will have to talk me into it. Don't get me wrong, I like the cap on bitFarms, and maybe as we start to develop, these visual images, and we talk over the news and other stuff, maybe I end up getting some of that. I don't know. Maybe. But what did you say here? It's also small, and bitFarms has a HODL. It gets massive growth. Yeah, it could be. And if we look here, let's just jump back over. So let's look at, there are some other metrics on here on a Sebastian Ski. I do want to show you some of the stuff that he has because it's great. And I think that everybody should probably at least take a look at his work. You should at least subscribe for a month and see if you like what you see, okay? This is a bunch of differences. I don't care so much about this. So he does have some stuff that's interesting here. Hash rate growth. It shows Riot doing a lot of hash rate growth, quarter over quarter. I actually would prefer to look at these under different. I would do this differently though, and I love what he's doing, but I would do this differently. I would be looking at minor comparison charts. And Sebastian, if you end up watching this, maybe, I don't know, do whatever you want to do. But I would instead look at hash rate growth by miner over a period of time, and then have maybe some visual comparisons between those. Something kind of like this really rudimentary version that I have under Cleanspark here that I created. And again, I like visual stocks because you can create your own charts with the chart engine, and I think that stuff might be more, might look even better over time. But I like something like this, where you can literally have like you could have hash rate growth, and you could show the growth levels, and maybe not growth, maybe like Bitcoin held, some of this other stuff's more applicable, where you can see how the different miners visually, quickly, in one place, without going through each one, you could see how they're doing in comparison against each other with all these different metrics. I like something like this. What do you guys think? Do you like this kind of look where you can just look at it and see it? Because again, quarter over quarter hash rate growth, this is something that's going to change each quarter. And I want that historical trend to really get the visual. Like when I'm looking at economic data, they always have like the month over month shit. I don't give a fuck about that. I want the year over year. I want the stuff where I'm getting a really clear image of what's happening. I don't want the month over month stuff where it literally is just like up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. This visually doesn't tell me a lot. It can be somewhat helpful, but having something that's just a clearer representation of the overall trend, especially against other investments, I think is a better tool myself. So some of this stuff I want to clean up a little bit. But again, there's a lot of cool metrics in here, like BTC versus shares, average BTC, there's just some stuff I think that's really valuable. Let's see here. Does he have revenue in here? I'm trying to find revenue. Price to book. Where your revenue at, yo? You got some revenue? You got some revenue? I feel like what's that one black dude with the Coke under his nose meme? Let me see. I don't know where he's got revenue in here, but these are the kind of things that I want to draw out for you guys. He's got a bunch of weighted metrics and other things in here. But yeah, so I want to have, and maybe again we can get him on one of these, and he can kind of talk through this and what it means, and let you guys know what the value is on it. I haven't seen him do anything like this in a long time, but again, I haven't been following the sector as much as I used to, and that's what I'm trying to do right now. But I do think that there's a lot of benefit that will come from figuring out, getting really good visuals of all the metrics that we want to track, and then tracking them in that kind of method, like something like this. And maybe pie charts are more important too on some of them. It just all depends on what data points you're looking at. But see, being a data analyst is kind of what I used to do in my old career throughout like the last several decades. A lot of it came down to analytics, no matter what role I had. So I'm hoping I can provide value to you guys from all of that. Let me see here. Damien G. Andy, there are different ways to get the capital and hold the asset. Just saying. Yeah, okay. That was that part of the conversation. Let me get down further. J Duff. Is that where we're at? J Duff. Jesse, what are your sell targets on Mara and Cleanspark? I think they're going to differ. So here's the thing. Each cycle, there's what I think it's going to be, and then there's when I actually end up selling, and they're different things every time. So I can give you arbitrary numbers right now based upon technicals and like Fibonacci levels and what I believe the targets are going to be for Bitcoin. And we can do that like in another week and go through that. But they'll probably be wrong, and there'll be adjustments that are made. And then in each one of our weekly dialogues, I'll let you guys know where I'm sitting, how much I sold to the portfolio, all that kind of stuff. And it'll change. But So I can't give you a good number. I could give you a ballpark right now. Like let's pull up Amara. And again, I want to kind of look through more of these metrics here too. And we'll get a flow going that'll probably be a little bit better in the future. And I'll probably start doing polls. I'll do this with my other stuff too, like the market recap, saying, hey, I'm thinking about making this change. What do you guys think? Do you like it? Do you not like it? What should we do? And we'll graft it to where it's the most beneficial to you. My big goal is to try and give you just shit tons of value, but also make it to where at the same time I'm not taking up a lot of your time, and I am really good at taking up time. So Mara down 61%. That is pretty brutal. I'm not gonna lie. I think Cleanspark is actually worse, but that does suck. 61% just from February. So I hear you on the being painful. There's a reason why I told people to stay away from options back in February, December, January, March, April, May, June, July, August, and then late August, I started to get into mid-August. I started getting into them with Cleanspark only. But there's a reason why I tried to tell people to stay away. Now, what do I think can happen? I think easily we can go to $88. That, even with share dilution, that gets us up to the previous cap high. So I would say a 567% increase in Mara is very sustainable. And we could go higher. I don't think 230 is crazy. I think honestly what will end up happening is it'll be between like 90, where this golden retracement zone is, and this 220 range. Maybe somewhere in the middle in the 140s is even possible with Mara this cycle. And if it was just like, let's say it was just somewhere in the middle, that would be a 985% return. And if we think Bitcoin's going to 3x from here, that would be like 3x the underlying asset. So this is not a crazy number at all, guys. This is a big cap though, so this will give you the lower returns because of just the sheer size of it. It is $4 billion right now. But if we look at something else, if we look at a Cleanspark, that's $2 billion. So you got half the market cap here. You got something that dropped 67% in value from its recent high in what was it, March. So this is way worse, right? This thing is way underperformed, even Mara. So if you felt a lot of pain in Mara, Cleanspark was worse, which is why I've dialed into options now. But for this one, For this one, man, 848 is pretty easy. And I think, I think for this one, getting up to like 73, 74 is not going to be super hard. And I think there's the potential we could hit the middle target on this, and that would be in the 200 range. No, no, that's probably too high. That's probably too high. That's probably too high. This is too much. But if we look at the previous all-time high over here, we'll be able to surpass that easily. And with the size of this market cap and the way they're growing, I think let's see here. I think something like this is possible. Maybe the 100. The 100's a good round number. Maybe a 1,200% increase. That's a little bit better than what you have from Mara. And that would be about a 13x. That would be a huge return. That would be about 4x. What I think, a little over 4x. And then again, I think Cipher could do even better than that. I think Cipher could give you like maybe a 5x the returns of the underlying of Bitcoin. So if these numbers, and remember this, guys, if we go back to like January, February, for Bitcoin miners versus where Bitcoin was, some of these were 5 to 6x better than the underlying. So if we think Bitcoin can go up 3x, 6x that is 18x or 1700%. So these numbers, so like 1700 for Cipher doesn't seem crazy when it was kind of doing that at this previous pace. Now there's things that can neuter a cycle. We saw them last time, right? The Fed increasing rates actually did a really great job of neutering the last cycle. So we wouldn't want to see something like that. But I think we're headed in the opposite direction this time, guys. All right, let me look here. What else we got? Come on, 192 viewing. Yeah, if you guys could hit the like, sweet. I think focusing on key miners' earnings is a good idea. Yeah, I do too. So what I'll do in the next weekly meeting that we do here, and I'm going to run through again some more of these charts and just kind of walking through each of the individual miners right now. But I think in one of the next meetings, I'm probably going to have a poll sitting at the start of it that says which miners are you invested in, or which miners do you care about? That's probably what I'll do in the poll. Which miners do you care about? And then we'll think about that in our analysis. And I'll still track news and other things behind the scenes. And then if I really am interested in news events on a miner that we don't currently track, I'll be bringing it up each week. Dr. Chris, cruise ship versus speedboat is a large cap versus a startup. Yeah, totally. Yep. Totally. That makes sense. 2 a.m. Jesse, for Cleanspark, you think it'll get there before July of 2025 based off of options? July of 2025. What? At the peak? Fuck, it doesn't have to. Previous cycles, it depends. This cycle, I thought maybe was going to have a blow-off top sooner. I actually think James probably thought that. I think Sebastian probably thought it. A lot of people did because of all the ETFs. But then there were a bunch of negativity, like Germany selling off massive amounts of Bitcoin. I think price suppression from BlackRock and others. And just, again, like Mt. Gox. Everybody thought Mt. Gox was going to be the end of Bitcoin when everybody got access to their Bitcoin. And we've already been through that too. We've been through a lot of negative shit. And then we had global liquidity slowing down for most of this year, which again, when global liquidity slows down, what happens, guys? Stocks stop going up, risk on becomes risk off. So we've had a lot of things fighting against us. But do I believe that we can get there by July? I don't know, man. Like, here's the thing. Here's what I know. I think we could get to easily by springtime, $33 for Cleanspark. Easily. And then if with those options, you'll capture extrinsic and intrinsic value. And if we look at one of those, let's just see if I got it pulled up. No, I don't. I got Hood. Oh, Hood's got interesting news next week too, guys. I don't know. I think that's just a great proxy for Bitcoin right now. I'm gonna grab the 37s. I think this is what I own. I'm pretty sure. Let me see. It's 370. I actually own way more than this. Let's just say 1,200. And then again, we'll put in some of my targets here. We'll put in my max target for Cleanspark. I think that this thing can go to 100. So we'll use that as a max target. Again, I don't know that that's the most likely place that we're going to end up being. Let me go over to the options here. And then I'll put that as the max for 100. And we'll get an idea of what the options chart is telling us about these July calls, right? And what is my price? Here, one sec. I'm going to move something over, guys. I don't even remember what I paid for these things. I do want to look at my numbers on these. And I'll switch them to what they are today in case anybody's looking at getting into these contracts too. Because again, if they're cheaper right now than they were before, then that you're going to get a better return than I got. But let's just take a look here. 1 second. I just got to see what they cost. Just give me 1 second. Just popping up a screen here. All right, let me go back up here. So my contracts for Cleanspark, I have, holy shit, a lot of them. There's a lot of contracts. So each contract entitles you to 100 shares. So I have bought a lot, and my price is much higher than today. My price is 1.66, not a super great number. But let's just look here at what I'm able to do. So if between now and July, I don't think we're getting near 100. Let's be realistic here. Let's say that we get to at least 32, and then we'll just look at that version, and then we'll go to the rest here. So if we get to 32, and we do it between like now and spring, that could give you a 442% return, but the underlying is 300. So it's not a super great rate with what I have. Now, let's say that you get into this at a better rate than I do. Like if you were doing this now, this thing is trading at 1.17 right now. So my average cost, again, way higher than yours if you started right now. But if we got to 32 and you got in right now on this thing, by March, let's say before tax season, you would get a 2x the underlying. You could get about 600% returns on that 300% move. And I think that number is super easy, guys. We've basically already been there. So imagine this. Imagine Bitcoin gets near 100,000 between now and spring. This is going to be an easy thing to accomplish. And if you were invested in this, if you got into it like now for a lower rate than what I paid, you would be sitting pretty at a 600% increase. For me, this would give me 1 million in profits by March just off of Cleanspark, off of my initial contribution of 152,000. So this would be a good number for me personally. But again, options are dangerous. Options, you can lose it all. Options imply time frame. Albeit, I will say that right now is probably one of the best times you could be in options for Bitcoin-related investments, at least Cleanspark. I don't know about the rest. Cleanspark, Hood, I don't know what MicroStrategy looks like. Maybe it's okay. But does that make sense? Is that helpful? Is that helpful on Cleanspark? I got Cleanspark at 14. Yeah, so Cleanspark at 14 is not as good as where I got it. I bought options for Cleanspark all through here. All through here, right? This area, I was getting options. So I got options. I was buying options in the ones and then in the twos. This is a lot of where I bought my options originally. And then I sold most of them over a year ago. That's one of the reasons I made 7x last time in 600% returns, is because I was buying down here because I knew it was the bottom for Bitcoin and I knew it would be a great opportunity to be able to make a bunch of money. And so I went for it, and I did. And then I sold out of it, and then I just owned the stock, and then I rode that up, and then I sold out of a lot of that, and then I bought more when we started dipping, and I've just been kind of riding the waves. But now is a time where I'm only in accumulation mode for Bitcoin-related investments. There is no selling at these levels. Only a fool would sell at these levels, in my opinion. When you sell Bitcoin miner down 67% from where it was in February, you're in the wrong direction. How about the dilution lowering the return possibility this cycle? So you would think that would be a huge difference, and it would lower it each cycle. There are some other, I don't know if I have it pulled up right now, but there are some tools where, let me see, Cleanspark. I'll see if I can find this. It's Cleanspark historical market cap. There are some tools that I can I don't know if I pay for one right now. But they show you, like a Y chart is a good one. Let me see if they'll give me a view without charging me. Oh, yeah, they do. Sweet. Okay. So, yeah, share dilution, market cap, all that stuff, right? So here's what's fascinating. You would think that it would be really heavy, right? And you could just totally get fucked on this. But if you look, just by market cap alone, we've already seen Cleanspark as a $5.21 billion company. If we go back here on, can I get more data? Is it going to give me more data points? Yeah, it does. Okay. So a $5.2 billion company, or almost $6 billion company, right? So that is almost 3x where we are today. So even with share dilution, this company has already been more than 3x where it is today. And here's my argument on that. At that point in time, when it was at that valuation in March of 2025, if we go over here and we look at what they had for revenues, let's look at this, right? So March of, what was it? Oh, my bad. Sorry. That was March. Is that March? Yeah, just March of this year. So let's go back here and look at what they did. So their revenue at March of this year would have been about 111 million. And again, it's close to that right now. But the difference will be if we double, if they're continuing with hash rate increases and we double in the price of Bitcoin, then the revenue numbers are going to be a lot higher in the next quarter. And so you could, even with share dilution, you're still going to see solid returns of this company, especially ones that people look at as best of breed. They'll give a higher level of return on it. And right now it looks shitty with a forward PE of 95 and just other metrics like price to book. They could be better. But you'll see that these numbers will come down, or these numbers will change drastically as net income and profits go up. If you even look at Q1 of 2024, I mean, look at this. It was trending in the right direction. It's just Bitcoin's price was aggressively in the wrong direction, and it hurt them a lot. But what will be great is other miners that have not expanded and that don't have all the Bitcoin held, they won't have their existing Bitcoin supply adding to their income as well, right? Like right now, Bitcoin production, what is it in a quarter? It's probably closer, it's getting closer to 2,000 BTC a quarter that they're producing and not selling. And then if we look at other key charts here, like the dollar amount for their Bitcoin, look at this, it's continuing to go up. So right now they got 413 million in Bitcoin holdings. If we go up, if we double, if the price of Bitcoin doubles, this thing will be almost $1 billion in Bitcoin holdings in USD. Actually, probably a little more than that because of the amount that they're generating every single month and every quarter over quarter. So over 2 more quarters, this thing could be like 1.1, 1.2 billion pretty easily in Bitcoin holdings. And these numbers for like net income and market cap and things, you'll surpass the previous market cap, which again is almost like 2.5. It's like a 2.5x versus where we are right now anyway. So you'll blow past that number because you'll have a higher net income too, and you'll have better looking financials. I hope that makes sense. And I'll try and see if I can structure this stuff better, but hopefully that makes sense, Christian. Let me know if you still have questions about it, man, or if there's something you'd like to see visualized. And let me see. I don't even know. I got to pay attention to how I'm displaying this too, because I don't even know if I'm displaying this really good. I should probably zoom in more. But something like this from Y charts, where you can see the previous market cap, that doesn't care about the dilution, right? It just lets you know the total value of the asset. So regardless of dilution, you're getting an idea of what the previous highs are, and you get an idea of how much higher something can go, if that makes sense. All right, let me see here. All right. I think that's valid, Christian. Yeah, totally. How about yep, okay. The machine, Jesse, do you think January 2025 options are too aggressive? I would be scared. You know how, if you guys know me, you know how I feel about options. I think they're incredibly dangerous tools with great opportunity. I only buy options when something is dramatically oversold on a multi-year route normally, or like in the case of Cleanspark, we're down 67% from highs in February. So I'm dialing out of the stock that I've lost money on, and I'm putting it into options that give me a multiplier to the upside so I get a better return. And again, just looking back at options here, guys, if with Cleanspark, if we get, like, let's say between now and spring, we do better than this $33 limit, and let's say we get near the previous all-time high, which I think is doable. I think Bitcoin can go past 100K by spring, 150K. I don't even think that's the top this cycle, but that's a part where I'd start dialing out. We would get to $42 a share for Cleanspark. And so let's say that happens between like now and March. And people will be surprised how much these things could rip to the upside. So with the current investment, not my own, but if somebody bought into this right now, with a 400% return, you would get almost 1,200% back in those options. I would sell the shit out of those options, take my 1.8 million, and I would put that into the stock to dial out of it. So again, you do you, and mine is different. Mine is at a much higher level, but that's okay. I'm just kind of play money. It's not a lot. So it's 215,000. So it's like 7% of my portfolio right now. No, 6%. I don't know, something like that. And again, if this one got to 42 for me though, even if it took till June or July, I would make 500% off of 417%. So I'd still get a multiple, but I would get roughly 2x in a $1.7 million increase in value. And then I would just dial into the stock. So I would double my money versus the underlying asset. So yeah, I like that. Please add BT to your list. Thanks. Just as far as review, I did talk about it briefly earlier. I didn't say a whole lot of positive things about it. Do you think miners based outside of the U.S. like Iron and BitFarms won't run as much as those in? I don't know. That's a really good question. I do think that it's not bad to diversify. And I think that some of these miners that are like in Argentina, I don't know what that landscape looks like yet. I would assume that Javier Milei, he's doing so many good things right now within his country. His stock market is up 44% this year. And BitFarms, I think, has a location in Argentina. Let me know if I'm wrong, guys. Or maybe, yeah, I think so. Let me know if I'm wrong. But in a few other locations. But his stock market's up 44% in Argentina. They've watched a doubling of housing availability. For the first time in 34 years, they had no food inflation. They've seen a reduction in home price costs. There's a lot of pain that's being suffered too, but for the first time, and really, yeah, Argentina and Paraguay. Thank you, Mark. So yeah, they've got BitFarms has a few there. I actually think that ended. I think that Javier Milei, especially with all the time he's spending with Bukele and his love and affection towards Donald Trump, and seeing that he's looking at doing a Bitcoin stockpile, I could see Javier Milei trying to encourage energy generation in the country, just like we're doing in the United States. Hopefully with Donald Trump. If it's Kamala Harris, we're probably fucked. She's going to go the opposite direction and push the Green New Deal. But if we get Trump and they're doing that, I think these guys could actually be really beneficial to the Bitcoin markets, and they might be able to find the value in using Bitcoin miners as peaker plants too, saving them a bunch of money and benefiting the miners with cheap energy. So I don't know. They might do better for that reason. One of the reasons I had BitFarms previously was for those plays, the Argentina and Paraguay plays. I need to reacquaint myself though and see how well they're going versus what I knew of them. Because again, I haven't spent a lot of time in the Bitcoin mining space. I need to kind of jump back in again and reacquaint myself and really dig into the data. Mark LeBlanc says scaling more in Paraguay, but expecting Argentina growth too. I could totally see that. I love you guys. This is going to be great. Maybe I'll even have some of you on here too if you guys are comfortable with putting your face in front of people. I used to not think I was. I never wanted to go in front of the camera, but you guys forced me into it, and I actually kind of like it now. So maybe some of you guys will come with me and can hang out on here. Let's see here. All right, let's keep going. I want to make sure I don't miss any questions. Jesse, do you think January 2025? Okay. J Duff, I'm interested in Wolf if you would like to cover that too. Yeah, we'll go through. Let's go back here because we're kind of jumping all over, but this is kind of the first time, so it's okay to be disorganized. But again, I think, so what I'm trying to say is, take a look at the stuff that James, we'll go back to James in a little bit here too, just kind of do a summary of his thing in a little bit, but look through each of these and kind of see what trips your trigger and what you like. And then hopefully in the future here, I'll be able to have really visual ways that show how these miners compare, and we'll just roll through them really quickly, looking at metrics from quarter over quarter, month over month, looking at the news, and me telling you if I changed my ideas and what the top performers are going to be, and which ones are becoming better over undervalued by my metrics. And then you could cross-check these against what James thinks real quickly and visually within his Patreon. Again, he's got great stuff if we look at the collections and spreadsheets. I won't go into all of it. I don't want to give away his proprietary stuff here, and he's constantly working on this. But you could go in here and compare how he weights these things and what he believes the top miners to be, and then compare that against what James thinks the top miners are, because he does weekly YouTube videos where he goes over his metrics, and again, you can quickly see them by miner, and then also look at what I'm talking about. And I think you can get a really well-rounded view between all these things. But let's just jump back over. I'll walk through each of these miners real quick. So I like Cipher because they're Bitcoin holdings. And again, I don't know if the metric over here that I have underneath the charts shows everything right now that I want to show. Let me just get over here in an accurate fashion. I want this to be better. But let's see, where do we have Bitcoin held? So I do believe Cipher is close to accurate. Let me just see here. And I need to reorganize these two, but it's in gray. So again, it's if this is true, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's the sixth largest Bitcoin miner by Bitcoin held. And again, this date is probably a little out of date, but I do like the fact that they have a Bitcoin stack, even if it's smaller. I don't love here's the thing I don't love about Cipher. It's the similar thing that I'm talking about with some of these other miners. I wish they were pulling in more Bitcoin per month than what they are right now. We've seen a massive drop in Cipher from where they were December of 2023 versus right now. So if I get talked into bitFarms, it will be from stuff like this. I would like to see stronger expansion. Now, again, it's a small market cap. This thing's less than $1 billion. But if we go back over here to bitFarms, bitFarms is pulling in what, like 23, what is that, 233 BTC per month. And then let's see what Cipher's doing. The 135, you can't quite see it. So really, based on market cap, you might already be talking me into bitFarms. And I do like the fact that their HODL's growing. It's about half of what we're seeing for Cipher. A little bit less, about 40%, 45%. And again, I want to be able to visually compare all these metrics more easily. So assets, 237 million versus 46 million in debt for bitFarms. And let's see what the revenue is. What is revenue on this? What is it? I can't quite tell. $14 million in revenue for August of 2024. And what did we get for Cipher? We got revenue of 8 million. So God, man, you might be right. You guys might be talking me into bitFarms more, just because I haven't spent a lot of time on this because I didn't care much for a while. I was more focused on the macro and what's going on in the world and understanding all of that so that I can do a good job providing value with the big picture and be right on that. And I feel really confident about what's going to happen, especially if certain people win electoral office right now, which is why I want to get back to this. But just at a glance, I'm already liking bitFarms' performance better than Cipher, just at a glance. So you're right. I might be changing my opinion on that. Do you think miners, that was that one. BD, election results could damper crypto holdings, especially options. You're right. They could. But then I think, you know what happens? Oh, for the short term, I've said this a few times in my other videos. I won't do too much of it right now. But I think here's what I think happens. If Kamala Harris wins, I don't think she's going to. If she did, or if she stole the election, if that's possible, whatever, right? Then I think the market would go down, and it might go down hard. But I think it will bounce, and it will bounce no matter what, no matter who wins. And here's the reason I say that is the money printer will go insane with Kamala Harris. And so what are people going to turn to if the money printer is going crazy? She starts printing $4 trillion at the beginning of the year, whatever. They're going to be looking for a way to store their wealth and preserve their wealth in something that is stable and that does a great job as a multiplier to money printing. And I know of no better asset for consistency than Bitcoin. And so I think you could still get the dump. And again, you're right. If you're worried about that, don't own options, man. If I lose all of my Cleanspark options, I do not give a shit. I still have so much in the way of levers to the upside that don't have a time expiration behind them. I'm not worried about it. But yes, that could be a problem. But ultimately, I think the direction is up, if that makes sense, dude. Let me see here. All right, let me get down. And Mark LeBlanc was providing the details on bitFarms, which is cool. Thanks, bro. Kyle Wright, can you talk about wash sale? Do you need to wait 30 days or after selling a stock to buy options, or does that? Yeah, so watch out for wash sales. I don't remember with options. I don't have this problem because I have so many different accounts. If I ever had, and here's the thing, I don't trade. So yes, wash sale rules probably apply to options. But the trading I'm doing, the rebalancing I'm always doing, that is in a tax advantaged account like an IRA. So I don't have wash sale rules, right? I'm buying in and selling. There can be things like with short-term and long-term capital gains. There could be things where I could get hit by that, but I'm not doing this like in a regular investment account where I have to worry about major issues with wash sales. So I don't focus on that too much because all the stuff I do is buying and holding. But always think about wash sale. We should probably do a separate video on it, honestly, so we can spell it out in detail so people know with each type of account, and then also too between like stocks and options, how that impacts you. Because you're right. And this would just be U.S. based, so people that aren't in the U.S. wouldn't need to pay attention to it. You probably might have similar rules in your area, but that's probably a good video to do too. Let me see. Rashab, Mara, upside from here, or MicroStrategy. Which one has more? I think Mara would have more, but I also really like MicroStrategy because MicroStrategy has such a massive stack of Bitcoin. I feel like I should almost be adding that into the list. Let's just do this real quick, actually. I'm going to change this chart, and I'm going to add MicroStrategy into here as a company because... And again, the market cap on this one, you almost have to compare the market cap. The market cap on MicroStrategy is huge, just to be clear. We'll pull that up too. Let me just see over here. MicroStrategy. All right, so market cap on Mara, what was that? That was like 4 billion right now, right? Market cap on MicroStrategy, 20 billion. So it's 5x the market cap, but the number of Bitcoin they hold is huge. And is this one going to even, did it recalc? I don't know if it did. Let me see here. This doesn't look right. Oh, you know what? He doesn't have, this will be another thing I hit Alejandro up for. He doesn't have the amount of Bitcoin in here for what these guys hold, but it's a huge figure of Bitcoin. So I'll have to, again, we'll clean up all the charting and all this other stuff. But MicroStrategy, just look at them as almost like, they're 5x the market cap right now, but they're like 10x the amount of Bitcoin held. But then you have the complication of their other business too. But I don't know. It's a coin flip, man. MicroStrategy could do real fucking good this cycle. And maybe it gets close. But again, it's so much larger in cap. You start to have diminishing returns based upon the size of overall returns. So you got to factor that in too. So I would probably still give it in a coin flip tomorrow, but MicroStrategy is a great bet. And if you wanted to keep shit simple and you were looking for a multiplier, there's that stock. I don't know if you guys can throw it out here, whatever that ticker symbol is, for a multiple for, is it MSTX? For a multiple. I don't know if it's a doubling or if it's a 1.5x. MicroStrategy's returns, but that might be a really simple way to get a nice upside multiplier over the next 3 to 6 months on MicroStrategy if you wanted to play it safe. That's probably the safer bet. And I've said this for a while, I think MicroStrategy actually could move first when the markets move. It could maybe move the first, and then I think the miners will move later with a higher multiple, if that makes sense. That's what happens the majority of the time, I would say, based upon, all the stuff I have to reference historically. And again, in future episodes, I'd like to make these quicker too and get to Q&A earlier and just have like a really clean flow, but we'll have to work our way into it. Thanks, Jesse. Excited for the series. Me too, dude. Andy's ow. Yes, come join the BitFarms cult, Jesse. We have cookies. I thought I had issues with BitFarms. I think it was because they were Canadian, and then there was like the whole accounting thing and whether or not they were going to benefit from it. But then they've had like a new CEO and just a whole bunch of shit. I need to get myself caught up. If you guys have the general history of BitFarms over the last 6 months, throw it out there. I just know there's been a lot going on. Sebastian Ski says BitFarms is his biggest personal BTC miner holding. Okay, cool. And again, I think if just at a glance here, looking at some of the data analytics for it under his PDF in comparison to Cipher, I gotta say it's looking more enticing to me than Cipher is right now. So I won't fight that. Maybe I'll sell half my Cipher and then put it into BitFarms. Probably not a bad idea, even just doing that blindly. But again, all of these tides should rise, and they're about the same market cap. But if we're looking at them, I don't know. BitFarms looks a little bit better. BD, good point, Jesse, on election will be hard for a few months. It might be. It might be for the next week or two. Or if it just, it might be for the next, or I shouldn't say week or two, month or two. It might be rocky. But again, markets are forward looking. So if they start to get an idea of what they think is going to happen, it might not be as rough as you think it is in October. And then there's a potential for a government shutdown in October, guys, on the 1st. You got to think about that. If you're not, all these things are going to affect all markets, okay? If the SAVE Act becomes something the Democrats refuse to implement, which is very possible, and they think that they're going to win the argument against ensuring election integrity versus the Republicans, they might go for a lockdown and try and blame it on the Republicans. The Republicans might blame the lockdown on them because they're just trying to ensure voter integrity, and the majority of Americans do believe that should be a thing. So it could get really weird in the next 2 months. You've just got to be ready for it. Mark LeBlanc, BITF is a beast. Only concern is Riot owning 19.9% of them. Yeah, but they just did. I didn't. Did they do a poison pill with BITF? Can you guys tell me? I don't remember. Do you guys know if that's the case? BITF shareholder vote on October 29th will determine their path. What do you mean by that, Mark? Jeff L. Sebastian has said BITF is one of the most undervalued stocks. Yep, I think I saw that in the other one too here. Kyle Wright, thanks Jesse. Christian Soto, Riot has been a shit show. I agree, dude. They were so much better. I made so much fucking money off of Riot and Mara in the last cycle. It's bummed me out how bad Riot has performed this cycle, and they had benefits. They're getting hurt now. They're getting hurt now because the things that benefited them in the bear market when they should have been stacking a shit ton of Bitcoin, they are hurting them now, which is the turning off the miners, right? So now when what state of Texas or wherever is saying like, hey guys, we need you to turn off the miners, they're like, well, it might be okay right now, but in a couple of months, it's going to suck because it's like if Bitcoin's at 100,000, like a quarter or two from now, they're going to want to have those on. If it's at 180, they're really going to want to have them on, but they're still going to have to shut shit off. So there's just things you have to think about with all these different miners and the nuances of the regions and their contracts and all the stuff, the different businesses they're in that makes things more complicated. And that's what we'll try and talk through in this series. All right, Christian, no, that was you. Mark LeBlanc, 226,500 BTC as of August for MicroStrategy. So yeah, roughly 10x what Mara has in Bitcoin holdings. So MicroStrategy could do really well. I think it could do really well. If you were going the simple route and wanted like the equivalent of a large cap miner, MicroStrategy might just be that, especially with MSTX, if that's the right one. I don't know if you guys can confirm. Christian Soto, after the SDIG buyout from BitFarms, yeah, that was Stone Ridge or whatever Holdings or whatever. Yeah, those guys sucked. I don't think Riot will be able to purchase BITF. I like the synthetic HODL call options BITF has on BTC. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. They're still doing that, huh? I wonder how well they've been managing those. Christian Soto, call options on BTC plus 1,000 coins for BITF. I like it. Again, might not be a bad one. It's probably better than Cipher. It's starting to really look better than Cipher. On Monday, I might just dump 50% of my Cipher. I'll probably do a little more research maybe, but I'll probably dump like 50% of my Cipher and dump it into BITF to diversify back, which is funny. And people are going to call me a hypocrite because I did sell out of it previously. But hey, you learn, you live, and you move on. Mark LeBlanc, over 1% of total BTC, higher percentage when considering all the lost BTC. Yeah, there's so much lost Bitcoin, dude. And you can write off Satoshi's stack. Hal Finney's dead. He ain't selling that shit. And there's so many others that have been lost. There's a real large percentage of Bitcoin that are lost. Mark LeBlanc, Ontario courts shut down the poison pill. Oh, did they? Okay. And allowed Riot to go from 15% ownership to 19.9 max. Max? Like that's all they can own? Or they can keep buying. BITF shareholders are voting October 29th to determine if they want to sell to Riot. Oh. Ooh, definitely don't want to have options on Riot then. Or I'm sorry, BitFarms. You want to have stock. That's fucking interesting. Oh, you're making me want BitFarms even more. Because if there's a potential buyout, a lot of the times, you're getting a better buyout offer. So that could be a real quick flip. And then I'd maybe dump it after the buyout. Because I just don't think Riot has been managing itself well, but maybe this is what will help them as far as like overall hash rate growth and stuff like that. I don't know. Interesting. Really, see, you guys are helping me more than I'm helping you so far. Christian Soto, that's only for board members. Okay. Mark LeBlanc, which they pulled their 230 USD buyout offer off the table. So is that coming back or is it gone totally? Is there still... what's going on with the shareholder vote and this 230 buyout offer? Can you guys tell me what the latest is? Kyle Wright, debate will be a big market mover. I'll give the market a good look at how the two compare, especially give us confidence on who will win. Dude, Tuesday's going to be crazy. And I will be hosting a debate viewing session. So if you guys want to hang out and see what the craziness looks like, I'm not going to interrupt until the end. I'll try and give my cliff notes on what's going on. I might just throw out like a little quib, but I'm going to try not to say too much. Because I don't want to interrupt the debate. Kyle Wright, debate. Yeah, no, that was you, Christian Soto. October 29th vote is for 2 board members. They want to vote out Fannie plus 1 more. Oh, okay. BD, I think your Canadian concerns with BITF are still valid. Okay. Again, I don't love Canada. I don't want to say as a country right now, but I will be a lot happier about Canada. Again, I don't know if they have the same account. I believe they have the same accounting benefits that passed with like FASB and the fact that people can actually count the Bitcoin miners at face value and not the lowest value of the quarter. I think, can you guys confirm, do you already have that with Canadian investments? My only other concern with Canada, and let me know if you still have more that are on top of that. Kyle, was that you? Or BD? Let me know if you still have other concerns. But my only other concern on top of that was just the way Canada was going down. But I think Justin Trudeau is going to win. If we get a conservative in there, man, maybe Canada starts looking better too. I was listening to one of the heads in the Senate or something for Venezuela, or I'm sorry, the opposition leader for Venezuela, guys. If for some reason the tides turn there and they overthrow that government with Maduro, she was talking about Bitcoin as a world reserve asset and aligning with Bukele and Javier Milei more. So I don't know, man. South America could just get really crazy here soon. And I'm all for it. But maybe Canada learns from some of that too with their conservative leadership. Mark LeBlanc, it's actually a hybrid meeting, not just a shareholder. Okay, well, we're going to have to watch BITF. That's definitely going to be at the top of the list. And again, in our next video next week, next Sunday, I'm going to go ahead and I'll do it earlier. I'll probably do it like around 1 or something. I'm trying to get in the middle. Like there's a lot of people that do church type stuff, at least here in the States. So I'm going to try and do it like around 1 or something maybe I don't know. We'll figure out the timing and what's best for you guys as far as being live and attentive, especially for the key players here, the people that really provide a lot of benefit and know these miners well. So we'll figure out your guys' schedule because I want you to be active in it. So maybe we'll run a poll on that too next week, but I'll probably do it around 1 or 2. If you guys have an idea for a better time, throw it in the comments right now. And let's see, Christian Soto, Mark, where you saw a hybrid meeting. Christian Soto, Mark, I know you say it's 2 board members. Last thing I saw, Mark LeBlanc, new releases states BitFarm has called a hybrid meeting of shareholders. Riot submitted a requisition to disrupt the process. Interesting. Got to see that. Mark LeBlanc, Riot wants to axe all BTF recent board hires, which came from SDIG. Okay. That's interesting that they would bring in so many board from the old company. I wonder why that was. BD, 1 p.m. Central Time would be awesome. Okay, cool. Maybe I'll just settle for that unless we get a lot of other people saying something else. Andy Zhao, which is not until October 25th. I'm sorry, what's until October 25th? Which specific thing are you talking to, Andy? Mark LeBlanc, Riot has yet to make better offer. Ryan O'Malley, hopped on late. Love the weekly BTC miner show idea. Yeah, and I'm going to try and make it good, man. Like I said, I'm going to try and use a combination of what's available in visual stocks in order to be able to create basically, charting and things that we can look at under one location that do really quick comparisons between all the key metrics that people would look at across all these miners over time so that it's very visual and it's easy to understand, and then roll over Bitcoin news events and all the other stuff that I was talking about. So I'm thinking it'll be really good. Riot, Canada BTC. So Tetra Mercies, I'm probably butchering this. Canada BTC should be reported at fair market value on the date of the report. Okay, great. That's cool. As long as that's the way it's working. So in the United States, it wasn't working that way because of bullshit accounting rules that we had. But with FASB accounting kicking in, that's fixed all of our problems. So that's great. That's kind of what I thought, but I couldn't remember. Andy Zhao, I was speaking about the Canadian elections comment. Oh yeah, the end of October. Yeah. So we'll know about our situation. Here's the thing: if we get Trump, I think they're getting the conservative leader too. I can't remember his name. Do you guys know that off the top of your head? Anyway, so I'm gonna skip past Cipher here. We're gonna jump on to the next miner. We're gonna try and roll through more here real quick. It's getting kind of late for this first session. I do want to show Cleanspark though. Again, this is my baby. I love it. And then try and show at least Mara and Wolf, maybe Riot. But I love the stack on this one, and we've actually gotten better news from Cleanspark. It says 7,500 in here. I think they're higher than that. Let me actually go back over here. I'm going to look at my recent notes. I think I saw additional metrics that might not be updated by Sebastian Ski. And again, if we can find a way to automate this and get ahead of everybody else that's presenting information, I would love it. No, it was just hash rate. It was just hash rate. So maybe it is 7,500 that they have right now. I don't know if you guys know of a bigger number, but it said ended August at 22.6 exahash and will exceed 26 in the next 3 weeks. 26 exahash. Where does that put these guys versus the others? That is a big number for hash rate. Let me look at Riot was the second largest. Let's go down here. Oh, Core Scientific used to be an okay company too, but they're dead. I would not own Core Scientific at all, guys. Riot Platforms, an exahash hash rate is 23.5. So depending upon the ramp schedule of Riot, we could actually see Cleanspark be ahead of Riot for hash rate and be the number 2 miner by hash rate. And then number 1 is 35 exahash right now with Mara. So that would be amazing if we see Cleanspark surpass Riot for hash rate. And then they'll be behind Riot on Bitcoin HODL, and they'll be behind HUT on Bitcoin HODL. But again, by early next year, they could be ahead of them on both. That would just be amazing. And again, I don't love, if we're just looking here at Riot, they're doing okay. They're doing okay. But the thing I don't love the decrease in hash rate that happened all the way from December 2023 all the way over. We're sitting at about half the Bitcoin being accumulated that we had in December of 2023. Let's look at and compare that to Cleanspark. One sec here. Let me just go down. And again, we'll try and make Visual Stocks a better representation of this than this, hopefully. But if we look here, so Cleanspark, again in December, had 720. They're at 478, so they're doing better than 50% of what they had before. They're sitting actually at like 60% roughly, just rough guess with math. So they're actually excelling and doing better. And again, their Bitcoin HODL just gets better and better and better. And they're ramping very quickly when you compare them against even Mara, outside of Mara's purchase of Bitcoin. That looks kind of cheaty here because they purchased a shit ton, which I don't think it was a bad idea. But Riot, look at their ramp. Their ramp of holdings is just not great. The ramp of hash rate is not as good. I just don't like this company, but maybe the buyout makes it better. But I don't like this company right now in regard to all of that. Now, you guys let's talk about Iron and Wolf. And again, I struggle with these because they don't have the HODL, and I don't love that. And if we look, again, I'll try and get the other visual screen of all the comparisons of revenues and all this other stuff. But the thing I don't love is BTC per exahash is plummeting pretty dramatically through here. And the Bitcoin holdings, what were we getting in before? So we were at 400, we're at 245. So we're getting more Bitcoin. So they're ramping pretty good as far as overall ramp. But the thing I don't like is they're selling all the Bitcoin. They're selling it at really low values. Thank you, Attila. Thank you very much for joining, man. They're selling at very low values, and they're not hodling, and they're not going to benefit like Cleanspark and Mara are. And these revenues, 14.69 million. These guys are going to go to 16 to 30 exahash, right? Which is a decent increase. But 14.6 million, let's compare that to Mara. Mara's at 37.76. So Mara is like 2.3x higher in revenue right now, even as mismanaged as they are, versus what we're seeing with these guys. And with their Bitcoin HODL stack at 26,000 Bitcoin, they will, when Bitcoin's price goes up, they will explode higher, guys. They'll explode higher in the amount of capital that they can apply for growth. And their future hash rate is going to almost be 56 exahash. So when I look at an Iron at 30, I look at the fact that they're not going to benefit from their HODL. I look at the fact that their revenues are like not great when compared to like a company like Mara. I don't know how to get excited about them. Because again, Mara and Cleanspark to me are just so much better in regard to the future potential, because with Bitcoin's price going up. And right now I'm seeing Iron at a $1.3 billion market cap. Now, I mean, that is lower than Mara. Could it outperform percentage-wise? It could. It could over the short term. My gut tells me, though, that even though Mara is a larger cap, that by, like, closer to peak a cycle, you'll see this one doing just as well, if not better, than an IREN. And during the bear market, I think something like IREN is going to struggle if they can't really sell a shit ton of Bitcoin at the top. So I don't know. For the companies that I would short at the top to try and add as a hedge, I'm putting all these HPC plays like IREN, and whoever else is around. If they're around at the top, if there's anybody I'm going to end up shorting, it's going to be companies like that didn't hold any Bitcoin and couldn't sell it and don't have a good stack to hold over the winter, because the winter does come, guys. And when the winter comes, if you don't have capital to be able to pay the fucking bills for all the stuff you expanded with, you know what happens? You go fucking broke. And so that's where I can make a shit ton of money when Bitcoin's peaked, is by shorting shitty miners. And if you get one that dies, you just rake in the money. So that's my thought. Like, I think a lot of them rise up, and this thumbnail is probably clickbait because it's like, which ones are going to die? When I'm talking about death, I'm talking about the next bear market, right? So, but I think Wolf will be hurt by that too. Their expansion plans are non-existent. I don't know if it's updated since this. I doubt it. Sebastian's pretty good about keeping up. But 10 exahash, no expansion plans. They had 290, so they expanded it up until March. They had 290 Bitcoin. Now they're down to 147. They don't have any expansion plans. Their BTC per exahash is just going to continue to plummet. They don't have any HODL to benefit from the upside. They do have some capital, I believe. Let's see here. They've got 110 million, but that is such a small amount of money compared to the billions that we'll see with Cleanspark, and even more with Mara, from just their HODL appreciating in value. And so these guys, when the bear market comes, they're going to dilute the shit out of their stocks. They're going to dilute the absolute fuck out of them. And anybody who, first off, you don't hold miners in a bear market, you get the fuck out of them. But anybody who does hold them will get absolutely destroyed. And my goal is to make a lot of money on the ones that suck and the ones that won't survive. If that makes sense. Do you guys get me? Christian Soto, let me see here. Okay. BD says Cleanspark exahash rate updated and charts would be huge. I know, dude. They're going to be massive. Cleanspark will be the biggest miner this cycle. Core Scientific is a great example of a company that was great and failed. Instead of cores, they used to be core, and they had the largest Bitcoin stack of anybody, more than Mara. And they completely just expanded at the wrong times, didn't manage their stack at the right time, didn't sell at the top, didn't buy at the bottom, just were fucking idiots. Completely mismanaged, bankrupted the company, and now they're going to do it again. Because if you look here, in December 2023, they were pulling in 1,177 Bitcoin. Now they're pulling in 358. That is a pathetic fucking number. And this company will go bankrupt. They have no assets, and they have nothing but liabilities. So if there's a company that you could short, it's cores. They're shit. So again, don't own stuff like this. But let's look at Cleanspark. Cleanspark has an exahash. It says 55, but I think they're higher now, right? Are they at 60 now? What was that note? What do they have for their overall goal? I want to say that it's higher than Mara's. Let me know if I'm wrong on that, guys. Let me know what the exahash is supposed to be for. It shows neck and neck with Mara, but I thought it was going to be higher. Let me know what you guys know. Time for a question later. Oh, you can ask anytime, dude. Christian Soto, I'm meeting BITF management in New York City this Wednesday. Are you really? Cool, dude. Could jump on next week and chat. I would be interested. If there's things that you can chat about, fuck yeah, let's do it, dude. Let's do it. Just let me know. Are you Christian Soto on X? You need to let me know your contact information. Maybe throw it, or let me know what your X handle is, and then I can hit you up and we can have a direct conversation. Or if I'm already following you on X, let me know how that meeting goes, and we'll see if we can do a call, or we add you to the call and get your input. Mark LeBlanc, that would be great. Christian, excellent. Mark LeBlanc, Benji is a G. You guys are all G's. Christian Soto, yes, meeting Ben in New York City. He's fantastic. Gonna ask best questions I can. Awesome, dude. Andy, time to short HUT 8 when the BTC market peaks. Maybe. I still have worries about the previous short report with those guys, and I know some of the short report companies, like sometimes they're just trying to turn a profit and all that. But let's look at HUT 8 real quick too. But again, I love Cleanspark. I love their ramp. They are doing share dilution, but I think they're doing it right. And especially compared to some of these motherfuckers, Core Scientific, absolute trash. Even Hive Digital, like again, and I think these guys are like, what are they? Do they do ETH shit too? I can't even remember what they do anymore. I got to look into it. But they were at 295 in September, 282 in December, so they had expansion. They're not really expanding much at all. They're going to be less than 6 exahash. They're down to 112 BTC. They at least hodl, which I like. They hodl some Bitcoin. Their assets are pretty good compared to their debt levels. So these guys are okay. I don't hate Hive. HUD 8 has 9,100 Bitcoin. As long as they're not a fraudulent company like some of that fraud or short report implies, they might be okay. But here's the thing I don't like. Look at this. They were HUD 8. I don't know, man. Susie, you're super cute. You're a lovely lady. Again, I love blondes, but she's tried to talk to me a bunch. But here's the thing I don't like. 453 BTC in December. They're at 105 now, dude, for monthly mined. So they've dropped 77% in the amount of Bitcoin that they're mining. And their revenue is only $6.5 million. Their assets are 95 million, but look at liabilities and how quickly they're pretty high, right? Or I'm sorry, is that 195? I can't quite tell with his sheet sometimes. I'll have to look at it somewhere else. He has it listed as fairly valued, though, so Sebastian doesn't even think it's a good deal now for these guys, okay? So, I don't know. I don't love HUD 8. You're right. Maybe it's a short. Let me go down, and I'll try and get to Wolf here, too. Sorry, I know we're droning on for a while, but I want to try and, flesh out as much of this dialogue in our initial meeting as we can. So Andy, maybe it is a good one to short. I think Core Scientific is like the absolute worst. HUT's probably on that list. And then again, maybe some of these ones that don't hold Bitcoin and aren't expanding are going to be there too. Especially if they don't sell it at the top. Mark LeBlanc, if I grew up with a desktop, I could have been a bin. Instead, I mined ETH for 18 months. I mined ETH too, bro. I had 150 video cards, 200 video cards, really high-end ones back in 2018. Even though I knew I should have spent the money on Bitcoin. That's always yeah, dude, that was the thing. Dude, you were with a lot of other people, including me. I would have made so much. Think about this. If I would have bought Bitcoin at let's say an average of 3,700 and I would have put $100,000 to that, just initially, I would be so much better off right now because I could turn that multiple to a multiple to a multiple. I was only up 275,000 at peak in 2017 or whatever when we peaked out. In profits, I could have made so much fucking more off of Bitcoin just buying it. But you live and you learn, right? That's what we learn these things so that we can convey the mistakes to others. That's the way I look at it and never repeat them ourselves. Christian Soto, Cores has a huge HPC contract through though worth billions. See, yeah, but again, I don't love HPC and I haven't seen any of this money coming in, and contracts are great. Show me when you start making fucking money, dude. Show me when you start making money. And don't get me wrong, so here, I'll give them this. They're at 21.46 million in revenue. What is the net income? Is that even on here? Does he have that on here? I don't even know. Let's go over here. Let's look at Cores. Let's go to this. Nope, not that. Let's go over here. Let's go to, I'll pull it up at the search up here. Let's look at Cores. I want to see how much they're burning too, though, at the same time, right? And this is where I need to see the earnings to really get a good idea. Okay, so we got hosted hash rate. We got self hash rate. I don't know if hosted hash rate is their HPC. Maybe you guys know. We have a massive write-off in last quarter of $804 million. But look at this net income. They're not cash flow positive, dude. I don't give a shit if they've got a contract, if they can't make a fucking profit. I don't care, especially if they're not expanding on Bitcoin, their revenue is going to be declining on that. And their debt is still higher than their liquid. It says liquid cash 97 million, debt 526. And this is a company that's already been bankrupt once from mismanagement. So I don't love Cores. I'm just going to say it. And I want that contract. Prove your fucking worth. Show us the money is my take, man. Not to be harsh, but that's just the way I look at it, And let me know if you think I'm wrong and why. I yell at some people, but I won't yell at you guys. I love you guys. Attila, if recession is disaster for BTC, if recession is disaster, like, no, it won't be. Yeah, no, there's a difference, Attila. And if you watch my market recap, you're going to understand this more and more and more. Sorry for showing my hairy armpits. But it's different because in October 2022, what was happening there was increasing rates to tighten the economy because of fears of inflation. That is so much fucking different than what we're dealing with now. Now we're looking at a slowing economy where we're lowering rates and looking to print money. That means an increase in liquidity. And not just here in the States, but we're seeing this problem around the world, China too, where we're expecting global liquidity to expand for the next year and a half. As that happens, asset prices will go higher. So you're looking at more money coming into the system. And so if anything, a recession would goose it even more. So what we're more likely to see is a blow off top. And then a swift drop, I would say, because in 2008, we changed the rules. And in the pandemic, we confirmed that we changed the rules. And it's that if things get scary, we drop rates to the fucking floor and print shit tons of money. And that is like, getting ready to start a marathon, being super physically fit. And then somebody trips you, but then somebody throws you a line of Coke. And you're just a few steps back from the other guys. I don't know where this analogy came from, but and all of a sudden you're just a rocket ship to the moon, and you're going to surpass everybody. That's what we're looking at. If things get bad, I would actually say that the prices are going to go up, and then you would eventually reach a point of max climax, and then decisions would have to be made. Are we going to let inflation get out of control because we're printing so much fucking money, or are we going to let the market go down? And when you're indebted 130% to GDP, and the world on average is indebted over 300%, I don't think you can let it go down. I think you risk inflation. So I actually don't. I actually think we're going up, dude. I think no matter what, we're going up over the short term. And that's what the Fed has proven to us numerous times over and over again. And either political candidate will not want to fail. They don't want to start off their political or their 4-year term as a failure. They're all going to juice. They're all going to juice. That's my take, bro. And I'd be happy to answer questions and elaborate on that more. And again, my market recaps go over a lot of that. I made a video about global liquidity, watching an interview with Michael Howell recently that was really good. And I think it kind of helps people understand a little bit better about what all that means. Silas, hello. Most miners might fail if there is no Bitcoin bull. There will be a Bitcoin bull for the reasons I just gave, Silas. So you don't have to worry about it, bro. Andy. It's actually worse than that, Jesse, for HUT 8. I don't think Sebastian updated the sheet yet, but they mined like 80-something. Seriously? You're fucking kidding. You are fucking kidding. What? Or no, wait, no, that's cores. HUT 8. 80-something in August? Yeah, so that's fucking horrible. From 453 to 80. So to me, this is a great short opportunity. I mean, there's going to be a few, I think, that won't pan out, especially if HPC doesn't pan out, guys. Whoa. So this will be a great way for us to hedge short fucking miners. Start that process early. Make sure you're out there a long ways. Like when you sell out, we'll be looking at different plays and we'll be talking about them. And by that time, we're definitely members only. Fuck it. We're not sharing that stuff on X. It's members only because I want a smaller group of people talking about these kind of plays earlier, and that way we have the opportunity to get in before the masses do. So that will definitely be members only shit by the time we get to the stage where we're near the peak, just for all of our sake, right? We need to benefit. We need to benefit. People who pay at least $2 a month deserve to benefit from some random fuckers on YouTube or on X. But that's pathetic. That's really bad, dude. All right, really appreciate the content. Yeah, no problem, dude. Andy, oh no, you said that. BD, Silas 100, Mark LeBlanc, Max Climax, Adult Entertainer. What are you guys talking about? Kyle Wright, Max Climax, Coke running. Oh, from my comments. Yeah, there you go. All right. Yeah, so you guys got it. But again, so I'm probably going to scan down through some others here. If you have another miner you want to talk about or you want to look at the chart, let me know. I don't want to keep people up too late. I mean, it's getting close to 8 Central Time here. So we've been rocking and rolling pretty good. And I think for a first session, this is a good like start of like kind of conversing about what we're going to be going through in the future. But yeah, I really like, again, Cleanspark at the top of the list. I'm starting to like bitFarms. I like Mara because of the stack. Wolf. We were talking about Wolf a second ago. I don't love the fact that, again, what is the revenue? It's only 8.8 million on Wolf. This is a $1.6 billion market cap. If I was going to buy any miner, it wouldn't be Wolf. It would be bitFarms. Because again, they don't have any HODL stack. They're only pulling in less than 9 million in revenue. Their hash rate is not going to get any bigger than it is right now. And their liabilities are close to in line to what their assets are. This is a shitty company, guys, in my opinion. I do not like this setup. Because again, if we're just looking at bitFarms over here, even just Cipher, but yeah, look at bitFarms. bitFarms has 14 million in revenue. So much better. Their hash rate's going to double. And they're getting really cheap energy, and that's going to be another one I want to show is like what their rate of energy is. Just a lot of things that I want to show that really help. Like, but the BTC to exahash, like sure it dropped, but it's starting to stabilize. What is the BTC to exahash for Wolf? And again, these guys, bitFarms has 1,100 Bitcoin. At least they got something. I could see Hut 8 having to liquidate all their Bitcoin just to survive in the future. That will probably be an ugly one. But yeah, let's get down here. Wolf, where you at? Wolf. Let's see here. Oh, they do have self-hosted mining. But again, revenue of 8.81 million. BTC exahash, so they're only getting 18. So they've got a worse number than bitFarms too. For a $1.6 billion market cap, can you guys explain to me why the fuck you would buy Wolf over bitFarms at 800? This is half the market cap. They've got, 80% more revenue and a better expansion plan, and their HODL stack exists. Like, why the fuck? Wolf ran because Druckenmiller bought. Yeah, fuck that. So again, and they all could run during the bull, guys. They could all run, but get bitFarms, dude. It's got half the fucking market cap, and it's a better company by every measurable amount here, including assets to liabilities. So fuck what Druckenmiller has to say, even though I love him. Like, he's a good dude. But no, use your own brains and look at this shit. And bitFarms is a much better buy out of the two, guys. And unless there's fraud going on, like out of the two, I would not own Wolf at all. My 2 cents. If I'm being retarded, tell me why. Rashab, thoughts on moving Sol to these miners? Miners have dropped a lot more than Sol. Maybe. I love Sol, though. I think Sol is going to do a great job. But, you can't go wrong with Bitcoin, right? As long as you don't pick a shitty miner. Let's look at Sol real quick. Not sold. Let's look at Sol. Let's go to the crypto section here. And I want to do it off of Coinbase. I don't like looking at the other shit. So we are talking about a $60 billion market cap on Solana, right? Now, don't get me wrong. Maybe Solana can 6x, 8x this cycle. I'll have to draw it out and see. We can do that later. I don't want to overwrite my MicroStrategy chart, but this is going to be a much bigger cap. So personally, I would rather be in like mostly Cleanspark, maybe a decent chunk in like MicroStrategy, Mara, and then bitFarms. You guys are talking me into bitFarms. So yeah, that's what I would say. Yay, we flipped Jesse on bitFarms. Mission accomplished for tonight. I think you have. And again, here's the thing with bitFarms, guys, or Cipher. I have like 100 and something thousand in Cipher, even at these depressed levels. So I don't give a shit if I switch that over. That's not a lot of money to me. That is like 1/25 of my portfolio allocation outside of my hardware wallet Bitcoin that I don't talk about. My stuff that I trade and I own in my portfolio. That's like 1/25 of my portfolio. So if I take 1/50 of that on Monday and flip it over, don't be like, what the fuck is happening? It's not a big deal. It's a small amount of money, and you guys talked me into it with a decent amount of effort. But yeah, this might be all right, right? Like trying to push a $60 billion market cap versus one that isn't even a billion, I would say you stand a higher chance of return on that Bitcoin miner. My 2 cents. And I'm actually I've got a long-term HODL Bitcoin miner portfolio. Let me see what that is. That has about, not a lot now, about $70,000, a little less than that. And so I might switch some of that up, and I might turn that into bitFarms, actually. So I might move a few things around. I might recognize some losses on the Cipher. It's down 20%. And then, I got gains on Ethereum. Whatever, they'd wash each other out. So I might recognize some of that, and I might get into bitFarms in my long-term HODL account too. Anyway, I think do you guys have other charts you want me to look at? Do you guys have other questions? How about Iron? I did kind of briefly look at it, but we can go back. Let me go back to for now I'll look at Sebastian's on this one, and then next week I'll probably be a lot more into mine, because again I don't want to like copyright infringe on this dude's work. And again, I recommend paying the monthly fee, especially Sebastian. James from Invest Answers, I love you, James. If you ever see this, I doubt you do because I know you're busy. But if you do, I I don't want to sound shitty here, but James has tons of fucking money. And Sebastian Ski is really hardworking and kind of newer to this, and devoting his all to updating his report. So if you're going to do any of them, at least do $8 for him. And then again, I think James for the 10, and I think me for 2 is like a no-brainer personally. So if you were going to join for 2, I think I would recommend that. But let's get to Iron. So again, here's the problem I have with Iron. It is pulling in. I like the fact that they're pulling in almost 15 million. I think that's a way better play than Wolf right out of the gate. It's 1.2 billion market cap. Wolf was like 1.6. So I already think that this is a better investment for you right here. Okay, right here, this is a better investment. They also are at 16 exahash, and they're trying to get to 30. I like that they have a real growth strategy. The real big problem I have with Iron is the lack of a BTC HODL. And these guys do HPC too, right? Hey guys, they're doing high performance compute. Let me know in the chat. Here's the thing I do like about Iron, though. They have a lot of cash. They have almost $500 million in total current assets, and they've got about 51 million in liabilities. But damn, man, if I was Iron right now, I would be taking that cash, like at least half of it, and I would buy fucking Bitcoin. Why would you not right now at this point in the cycle? I don't know. I don't get it. Yeah, so their revenue is probably better than Wolf, just from the HPC. And if that starts to really ramp, like if you're going to have an HPC bet, I would make it Iron. I wouldn't. I don't know if Wolf is doing it too, but maybe this is the better one. And that's one of the things I'll try and do over the next week. I'll try and really get into HPC companies and see if I can determine which one of the better bets might exist out of HPC. I'll try and do that for you too, guys. C-List, we're still liking Cipher and Cleanspark. I like Cipher less than bitFarms right now. For this reason. I don't know. You could go back and look in the thing too, but real quickly, I'll just go through it. So I love Cleanspark. It's my favorite miner. But Cipher, here's one thing. I like the Bitcoin stack. I like the 2,200, almost 2,300 Bitcoin. Don't hate that at all. I wish they were ramping more right now, but here's the thing I don't like about Cipher. They had 417 Bitcoin mined in December. They're down to like 135 now. So this company has dropped down like 75% in what they're getting. And look at this, 18.81 million. They're down to 8 right now for revenue. I don't love that. I don't love their BTC per exahash. I think it's at 16.6. It kind of doesn't show well here, but that's a low number too. So I don't know. They've got a lot in the way of cash. The 309 million is good. But if we just do a comparison here, so Cipher's planning on getting to 13.5 exahash. They're a $950 billion market cap, and they only have 8 million in revenue. So let's look over here, though, at bitFarms. bitFarms has 14 million in revenue, so they've got almost 80% or something more in revenue. They're mining 233 this last month versus 135. Their market cap is 861 million versus the 950 million. So it's a lower market cap. It's producing 80% more revenue. It's producing a decent chunk more Bitcoin. And if we look at BitFarms, their expansion plan is over to 20 exahash versus the 13 from Cipher. So I like their expansion plans better. Now, the one thing is, let's just look here real quickly. And again, hopefully these other charts I'm creating will make all of this easier visually. But just at a quick 1 second glance instead of bouncing between all this shit. But yeah, even total current assets, they have 237 million versus 46 million in liabilities. So they're not even that bad off there either. So I don't know, at a glance, man, just looking at these, I gotta say, from efficiency standpoint, from revenue standpoint, from growth strategy standpoint, I like BitFarms better. Sorry, changing my mind. New information. Again, I haven't been focused on miners a lot, and you guys talked me into this, but I really like what I'm looking at right now. And thank you to A Day of June for joining up too. Again, man, appreciate it. Iron is HPC2. Yeah, I thought so, yeah. We're still like inside. Yeah, okay. All right, so I think I answered your question. Does that answer your question, Silas? I just think right now, the positioning-wise, reevaluating this, because again, let's look at where we were when I was really excited about miners and very focused on them, like in December, January. 446 Bitcoin mined, 357. These guys were sitting at like 800 Bitcoin HODL. I wanted them to increase that. They've increased it a little bit, not a lot. But that's kind of what's happened for these guys, right? 14 million in revenue. Back then it was like 19. But let's look at Cipher. So Cipher's revenue was about 17.8. Now it's about 8. So it's dropped a little bit more. It's the Bitcoin that's really killing them in my mind, and the lack of a better growth strategy. And then the fact that they're selling BTC right now at growing rates, that concerns me. And then and BitFarms is actually slowed down their selling of Bitcoin to increase their HODL stack, which I think is a smart strategy right now too. I don't know, man. I'm starting to like BitFarms more. Yeah, cheapest cost to mine is probably, yeah, and that's great too. That's totally fucking great too. You can't hate that. And then again, and they're not even done expanding, so their costs will probably come down even more as they expand with newer equipment, depending upon what they're buying. Yeah, I think that's it, guys. Yeah, weird. Cipher sold so much. Yeah, it's just kind of sucks that they're not. Again, you can kind of drive over month over month over month over month over month which ones are kind of meeting your expectations and which ones aren't doing as good. And I would say that Cipher has underperformed my expectations. And since BitFarms has a lower market cap, much higher revenue, much higher Bitcoin produced, and they're building their HODL stack better with a more expansive plan. I mean, I don't know. I might cash all my fucking Cipher out and buy BitFarms on Monday. I'm not going to lie. We'll see. But anyway, I think that's it for today, guys. We're almost at 8. It's like over 2 hours worth of shit. But for everybody that stayed here, I really appreciate you guys. Again, if you could smash the like, comment afterwards, everything that you guys do to support me, I really appreciate. And I'll try and give a much better episode to you guys next week. And we'll see if Christian gets back to me here after talking to Amara. I think he said it was. Maybe we'll even have him on the show too. But we'll just try and make this better every week. And again, I love you guys. I really appreciate all of you. And everything that you do for me. If I can figure out where the fuck my screen is, I'm going to shut this down. Yeah, okay. So you guys take it easy. I'm going to go out with a little bit of tune here. So again, I think this is the one that really needs to play. I love this video so much. Understand Bitcoin, guys, and you won't be afraid of drops. So peace out, everybody. Love you guys. Going back. Peace out.
With time, a seed becomes a tree, sheltering us. With time, a skill becomes a talent, empowering us. With time, a technology becomes a tool, enhancing us. By nature, time gives value to almost everything, yet the very thing our society gives value to, our money, loses value over time. This paradox warps our reality by defying the laws of nature, and it stems from the belief that $1 today is worth more than $1 tomorrow, meaning money must always lose value. We built our reality off of this model. time value of money, we call it, but in reality, this is just dogma. Since we can keep making more of it, we end up destroying our own purchasing power. So we put it in stocks, put it in bonds, put it in land, put it in funds, put it in crypto, put it in gold. But we are not oracles, so what do we know? We know that it's hard to get by. We know some people may never retire. Is time value of money a license that discounts the monetary value of our time? If time is money, how are they moving in different directions? We're working longer for less, we end up just giving away our freedom. Give up liberty for policies, give up our agency to the authorities. Because when our foundation is built on complexity, we simplify humans by giving up our humanity. Reality check, we've strayed too far from the truth. The world economy's a wreck when 1 + 1 no longer equals to 2. And if life's created from the truth, along the way something got screwed. And we let our own dogma subjectify value. And we divorce action from consequence. We defy the law of physics when we make scarcity infinite. We disregard the language of mathematics. So our systems are built in a fallacy. Our society's based in a fantasy. In the absence of truth, we're living in the shadows of our own reality. And that's the root problem. Man-made rules can be broken. As our trust crumbles, so does the progress of our civilization. But one thing remains constant: no one can cheat nature. So why not use it to architect a stronger base layer? The most beautiful buildings engineered based on these consequences. Natural law drives rigor needed to build something enduring, uncompromising on principles that accounts for the flaws. Because when our lives are at stake, the gravity of truth cannot be ignored. So if our monetary systems were designed like structures, it would embody energy and matter, so the money itself matters. An unbreakable limit enforced by costliness of creation ensures the structure holds value for many generations. A rule-based system governed by maths builds a transparent ecosystem that can self-error correct. With no one in charge, no words are taken as fact. Only work from computation can actualize truth of timestamps, and like water flowing off a cliff down the path of gravity, computational energy makes time flow one way only. It is this irreversibility which gives value to our money by upholding consensus and scarcity to create one shared reality. Now the map is the territory. Now we're working with high fidelity. Now money is truthfully time and energy bound by finality. Now we have the ability to manifest each of our dreams and build a world that is much more reflective of all of our needs. And that's the purpose of money, merely a tool to shape our reality, merely a function to harness and express individuality, just a way to live freely, just a means for possibility. Because when we build on integrity, we enhance the beauty of humanity. The most beautiful societies are built from diversity of our thoughts that come to life when we're empowered individually. Because when our money tomorrow is worth more than today, we shift from predicting to creating the future ourselves. And when our money grows in value, we grow thoughtful in how we use it. Natural law drives rigor needed to fund something enduring, something truly worth it, something that pushes the sky's limit, something only possible when our real value and consequence exist in boundless virtual dimensions. Imagine potential creations, fueled by monetary life force, lasting for many generations. We will venture into new territories and unleash these possibilities once we learn to embrace the truth of our reality.